Hi, my name is Ron Layman. I'm from the Faux School in Frederick, Maryland, where I teach decorative painting workshops and complete commission projects for clients all around the world. If you're interested in courses or commissioning me, go to the description area below the video. You'll find links, the phone number, and the email to reach out to the studio to find everything that you need. In that area below, you'll also find links to purchase all the tools and the materials used to create this technique you're about to watch with me today. This is Luminoso Plaster from Bernini. All right, let's get our tools, let's get our materials on, let's get started. The first thing I've done to get ready for today's technique is I base coated the surface using the Bernini Decor fondo. Decor fondo is simply a proprietary base coat within the lime for Bernini lime plasters. So it doesn't matter which lime plaster you're using, we have one primer for everything. Very simple. Soap and water cleanup, interior and exterior only, and it tints with pigment, never paint. All right, other than that, that's about it. I rolled it on with a 1/2-inch nap roller, and we're ready to go. The tools we're gonna need for get started is Pavan spatula, and I like the Pavan E24 finishing trowel. Now, we're gonna lay a coat of regular Marmorino Classico down first. Marmorino Classico. Interior, exterior, tints with oxide pigments, never regular pigments, never paint store pigments, no pigments that you would ever use to tint paint, never paint oxide pigments because we have a pH level of 13, very high. That means that pH, that high pH level, will attack synthetic pigments and eat them up. Be very careful about that. When you're using real, traditional lime plaster, it's very important. If you're using other pigments, chances are you're not getting the best. All right, so Marmorino Classico, straight out of the bucket. It's a wet mix, comes ready to use. You just take your drill with a big paddle mixer and make it nice and fluffy and creamy, so it goes on very, very easy. That's about it. We're gonna lay our base coat down first. I'm just gonna get to it. So, quite simple. And we're not too worried about a lot of things, meaning a perfect finish, because again, this is our base coat. So we're just gonna come up here. And put it on, just like we would our typical traditional Marmorino finish, right? We don't want it full of a lot of lines. What this is gonna do is our bed coat. This will give us our nice even base, help level out any unevenness in the wall. And that way we have something nice and easy that will make our Luminoso look a lot better. Meaning, it has this beautiful base to stick to and adhere to. Why aren't we using 2 coats of Luminoso? Why are we using a second product? Why are we using Marmorino Classico underneath of it? Well, simply, Luminoso is more expensive than Marmorino. So it's just a smart cost-saving measure. You could do 2 coats of Luminoso, that's up to you. Doesn't bother. Won't change the final appearance, but it will change the final price. So that's why we put Marmorino down first. Just as simple. See, I'm nothing out of the ordinary. Avoiding trowel marks. And here, that's it. So then we finish with the Marmorino Classico. We let this dry 100%. And then we're getting ready for the Luminoso. So I'll see you in just a little bit. Okay, time to mix the Luminoso. So let's look down here, please. Okay, here's what we have here, guys. This is the Luminoso in a powder form. It only comes in dry form, not wet. See all this stuff in here? That's the fun, beautiful stuff, all right? Keep that in mind. Remember, this is lime. This will dry your hands out. Do not let this get in your eyes. Here, we have distilled water. And here's why we use distilled water. We know this is clean water. Tap water, we have no idea what's in it. Where I'm at today, there's a lot of calcium in the water. You can see the buildup everywhere. I don't want to add something into it that's going to change this product, the Luminoso, from the original sample. So that's why I always use distilled water for all my dry mix materials. So we're going to take a fresh, clean piece put a little water in the bottom. The reason we put water in first is because if we put this powder in first, it's going to get stuck in the bottom and we're not going to be able to really get it mixed up properly. Now, what's the ratio? Mix it to like the consistency of chunky peanut butter, okay? And don't mix it all up at one time, especially when you're doing a big pail, because it's just tougher on a drill. Add and mix. Now, the pot life, meaning how much time do I have to work with this before it becomes hard as a rock again? Because remember, it's made of limestone, sand. There's no marble flour in this. A little bit of magnesium and some others. That's about it, actually. So therefore, as this water evaporates out through the process of drying, it will turn back into limestone. But it'll be beautiful limestone because it has the fun goodness inside of it to make it pretty. Okay. There. Bring it up slowly. Always work it easily. Don't oversaturate. You put too much water in here, you're going to just not destroy it, but it's not going to work right. And then once you get it to the consistency, which is exactly what I'm looking for right here, stir it. 5 minutes. And the reason is, well, 5 minutes. You want to make sure it's thoroughly mixed up. Remember all this chunky stuff in here that we can't see yet. See this? We need the water to get, the distilled water to get in there. We don't want any powder remaining. Now, don't beat it up with a big, heavy, like mega drill and go to town like you're jackhammering a piece of concrete, because then you'll destroy the beautiful particulates, all those bronze, those coppers, those golds pieces in there, and it won't look pretty at all. And there we go. See, now look, even though we're mixed up, look at this. Okay, can you see it? Here, bring it up here. Okay, see all that? That's supposed to be that way. That's the fun stuff. That's the beauty. That's what's going to make this pretty. All right? Let's get to the wall. Let's take a little bit of water. This is regular, oh, this is not regular water, I'm sorry. This is distilled water, because we don't want any heavy water spots. Miss the surface. Why would he do that? Yeah, kind of reactivating the plaster is going to promote adhesion. You can do it between your coats of Marmorino. What else? Grisello to Marmorino Travertino, boom, boom, all that stuff. We'll get into that. All it's going to do is reactivate this, and not reactivate, but it's going to give it sort of a reactivation. It's going to help promote the adhesion of our Luminoso. Finishing trowel. All right. Spatula. And let's get to it. Now, when you put this on, be careful. Do not, please do not muscle it. You don't need to get all like crazy about it. Float easy. Imagining, oh, Ronnie, imagine putting icing on a cake. If you put it on and smash it, well, it's not pretty. Same with this. We're going to put it on just like icing on a cake. You kind of put it on first. You take the spoon and squop, put it on there, and then you come back and float it out. That's what we're going to do. Going to put it on. It'll go on about the thickest, meaning it'll allow you to put it onto the proper thickness because of all this stuff. Look at it. You're like, oh my God, it's horrible. It's a train wreck of a mess. What do we do? Hey, man, we're working. All right, let's get this on. So I'm gonna put it on and just I'm like, I can't talk today. Load the trowel, like so. You're just going to float it on. No pressure. Just let it do its thing. All right? If you get some drag marks, it means you're using too much pressure. Stop. Look. I'll tell you this. You're never going to find another beautiful specialty Marmorino that's so easy to touch up and anybody damages or nicks it. So let's just keep going. So you remember the drag marks that are being created are simply just the large particulates. There we go. All right, let me get this on the surface. It's a little hard to do in this awkward position, but I think we can handle it. Now here, let's go back. When I did the first coat of Marmorino, and you're like, but why not just do 2 coats of Luminoso? Well, I made up about a quart. And already just on this material here, I have now used 3/4 of a quart. That's why you want to put the coat of Marmorino down first. Why waste such a beautiful product when no one's going to see it acting as a nice bed coat? Come on, pretty. It can get frustrating, meaning it just keeps pulling and pulling. Step away from it. Means you're putting too much pressure on it. And then when you, well, we're not finished yet. We're just going to let it rest. Let's finish putting it on. Let's get it. Come on, boy. So you can see it takes some time. If this is just like regular Marmorino, it wouldn't take that long. It's not about the speed. This is a totally different effect. And actually, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Meaning, something interesting about this product. Got caught on the backside. There you go. All right, so now we have it on. There's no scratch marks, meaning we're not pulling the material. And that's what's happening is it's so wet. There's nothing for it. It's not sticking. It's not adhering to the base just yet. So it wants to do what it wants to do. As it firms up, we'll be able to work it a little bit more. See that? That's a big, giant, beautiful chunk of copper right there. So what we want to do is get 100% coverage. We don't want any scratch marks. And how do we do that? Well, now that we have our complete coverage, clean your trowel. Distilled water in a spritzer bottle. Give a slip coat. Flatten. So I'm almost have a flat trowel, believe it or not. Oops. Okay, that's it. This has to sit. This has to get firm before we can do anything else. So that's the next stage of the process. It's going to be about 85. It's going to be in a humid state. Almost dry, but not dry. Meaning I can't, if I touch it, I can compress it, not burnish, compress. But if I press too hard, I can damage it. So we got to get it to that perfect state. All right, be back in just a little bit. You ready to make some magic? Because Luminoso is literally magic in a bucket. Now, this is the state where when you touch it, it's cold, cool to the touch, meaning there's moisture inside. But when I touch it, I was gonna say, it shouldn't stick to my hands, but I already have dirty hands. But we'll use the clean spot. Now, watch. Okay? Nada. So, what does that mean? It means it's ready for the next step. This is when the plaster is in love. Meaning when the plaster first gets onto the surface and it's all mixed up and wet, ready to go, it's sloppy. You can't do much with it. It's just like a big blah. But when it's dry, it's no longer in love. It's just been around too long. It's become cold. It's not communicating. This is that perfect state where we're able to do some things with it. And we're going to do it gently. 824i, finishing trowel, distilled water, spritzer bottle. Missed it very lightly. We're going to go just over it. And we're compressing this. We're not burnishing. Pressing. And I'll show you what's happening here because it's amazing. Going different directions. Because what's happening? It's all this beautiful stuff right here that's everywhere. You just don't see it yet because it's buried. Okay? And we're going to expose it to the point to compression. And it comes to the surface. All right. Forgot what I was saying. So when the plaster's in this beautiful state, we can manipulate it. We can do some fun things with it, but we can't move it. Meaning I can't take this and just redistribute it from here to there. All right. So hold on one second. Let's mist it with some water, lightly mist. And what this does is helps create a slip coat so the trowel's not pulling across the plaster and potentially leaving any carbon deposits. All right, flat, almost flat. Watch this here, okay? Do you see it? Beautiful stuff happening. Come at it from a different direction. Look at the angle of my blade, okay? See how low I am on this? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Gorgeous. I get a little slurry coat over there. What that does is still any tiny pinholes that might be there. So at this point, we have to let it dry 100% before we can do anything else. So that's where we're gonna go. Let this completely dry, come back and I'll show you the finishing steps in just a little bit. All right, so the Luminoso is completely dry and you can see it's changed a little bit, meaning one, the color is softened to a nice off-white. It doesn't have that yellow hue to it as it was when it was damp. But the other thing, let's take a look at this. I also pulled the tape. The reason I pulled the tape, simple. Can you see how thick that is on there? All right. If I waited on the especially on job site, if I waited too long and this dried, the Luminosa dries, I try to pull the tape, I'm going to be cutting this, I'm going to be pulling it, it's going to be breaking, it's going to be a big mess. Pull the tape off when the Luminoso is still soft, so it pops right off. Then you just come back and clean your edges. All right, but there's not much really happening. There's some interest, but what's happened is some of the material, the copper, the bronze, the little silver, some pearlescence, well, they're there, but there's a little bit of plaster over top, and here's what we got to be careful of. That thin layer plaster won't adhere to anything because it can't. So we just simply take a sanding block and what we're going to do is lightly sand the surface, and what that's doing is pulling off any loose Luminosa material that's over top of our beautiful metallics and pearlescence. I don't want to say metallic, it's not metallic, but just all that real pretty material. So anything that's just very, very thin, hiding it, and it's the beautiful materials laying under that surface, well, we go over top of it and expose it. Always sand in a circular pattern. If you make a mistake, you don't have, well, let's don't make mistakes. Let's focus on just proper technique. Always circular patterns. I know, I'm going straight. I'm cleaning up my edges. Don't give me a hard time about that, please. All right, take a clean rag. And there we have it. This side's a little soft yet. All right, now check this out. Look at all that beautiful movement. Can you see it? It looks like it's got spots. There you go. Look how pretty that is. There you go. Gosh, look at that. But the other thing is, look, a little sheen to it. So you can burnish if you want. It's up to you, but I'm not going to. I like this as a very soft, natural finish. Now, that's it. There is what we're going to call the traditional application of Luminoso. One coat of Decor Fondo base, one coat of Marmorino, your Luminoso. Now, we're going to let this dry 100% and come back and seal it. So I will see you in just a little bit. Okay. Finito. Almost. But why did he put tape on? Well, we're going to seal it. I wanted to keep the perimeter of the board nice and clean. So here's the Luminoso finished. See the pretty movement it has? This nice, beautiful, organic movement. Look, no sheen. No sheen. We don't want it shiny. Give you a little luster, just a soft touch, but we're going to fix that in a minute. Very soft. Now you can tint the Luminoso if you want. Here's what you have to remember. As the time I'm making this video, this is the only product like this in the United States. How do I know that? Because I'm the one that brings it here from outside of Venice. So I kind of know where it is. And the only wall that's been done with it so far is, well, the one I just did the other day. So here we go. It's finished. So what does it mean? We can leave it like this. It's water resistant. You can put it outside. Water's not going to hurt it. Kitchen, bathroom, ceiling, you name it, anywhere. However, it will stain. So if somebody's drinking some soda, some kind of grape juice, so it will stain. So if someone's drinking some grape juice, you're cooking with oils and it splashes on there, you're going to see the stain mark. How do we stop that? Well, you could seal it. But wax, I don't want to use wax on this. Those that really know that I love Savon Mercier when it comes to sealing Marmorino. It is a look that's just magical. Savon Mercier is truly that. It's a soap coming from the south of France. And this is it. It's a paste. I know you're like, you didn't show me very well. Well, hold on a second. What do you, I mean, it's a paste. Consistency. Crystal clear. It's milky in the can here. Don't want to get anything in it. How beautiful it is. And you're like, it's just soap. Yes, soap. This is soap. Soap sealer. It's no different. You can wash your hands with it. It feels luxurious when you come out of the shower with it. Your skin feels luxurious when you come out of the shower with it. It's just something magical about Savon Mose. Something magical about saying it. Now, let's put it on our surface. Let me get myself a clean rag. Color-free, lint-free. I'm gonna fold it. Like so. I'm gonna massage this into the Luminosa. Just put a little bit on here. And just start. Oh, almost dropped it. Circle. Karate Kid, right? But we're gonna massage it in. And as the reason I'm using this and not a trowel at the moment, it's a little too thin for the trowel. And as we apply it, it gets warm and it liquefies. So what does that mean? Well, it's going to be harder to control. Let's get a little bit more on here. So just use a rag. It smells amazing. You're going to be like loving. That's the beauty, like this finish with this lime plaster. We'll back up. One, you see what's happening? It's becoming richer. The colors are starting to pop. So the beautiful thing about Savon Mose is that it doesn't change the color of the final appearance. You know how wax will change in color? It'll richen it up, darken it up about 40% depending on the color. This will not. This will be 100% exactly as if it was without the Savon Mose. Just put it on. Make sure you got good coverage. I'm gonna let it set for a little bit, and I would do a second coat. The reason I let it set is I want to make sure it's dry. Let's come back. Let's pretend it dry. Okay, don't tell anybody. Let's just go right into it. So the first coat is going to be the one that gets down in there. It's kind of like, sometimes you'll put lotion on your hands and they still feel a little dry after the fact. So you hit it with that second coat, a second application, and it just feels so nice. So the first coat here was absorbed right into the Luminosa, which is a good thing. We know it's protected and sealed up. And this layer is going to do that beautiful luster that we're looking for. Just that warm, relaxing glow. Let it dry for a little bit. So how long do you wait? Well, by the time I would finish the whole wall, I could come back and do it again. Somebody said, can I use my machine buffer on it? You could. You're not going to get it to a super high gloss. It just won't do it. It just gets this beautiful, beautiful luster. Could you use a mechanical sander when you're taking the Luminoso down just to expose some more of it? Sure, very careful. There's no need to go grinding on it and it's not one of those, the more you sand, the more that pops out. We're just trying to enhance what's there so it comes forward so we can see. If we keep grinding and sanding, remember all these little particulates are just paper thin. So when you sand too much, you sand through it. So we don't want to do that. All right. Dry. Oh, I got a clean side of the rag. I should have got a fresh rag. So when you're at this stage, go get a fresh rag. It's a sample. And I'm just going to go ahead and warm it up. So what I'm doing is just a slight polish, just a light polish. But it's not really, it's just giving it that beautiful, I'll show you in 2 seconds. That's all there is to it. Let's close the lid. Savon Mose cleans up the soap and water because it's soap. Let's pop our tape off. Yaha, look how pretty. All right. Uh-oh, I'm stuck. There we go. Luminoso. Look how pretty. Watch it. Can you see just that warm, beautiful little soft luster that's just enough light being reflected off that it's like perfect bedroom, living room, any room. If you want that, just go, oh yeah, look at that. So what happens just with that little tiny warm luster from the Savon Marseille helps enhance the colors a little bit, brings them to life, and you see just a little tiny pop. Isn't that beautiful? There you go, Savon Marseille. Okay, my name is Ron Layman. I'm from the Faux School, where I teach decorative painting workshops and complete commission projects for clients all around the world. If you're interested in courses or commissioning me, please go to the website in the description area below this video. You'll find links there to everything you're looking for, as well as a phone number to the studio if you want to call, or an email. Questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I do my best to answer them as quickly as I can. And I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.